Hi there, I'm Lee and welcome to iMineBlocks. In this video, I'm going to show you how to start mining on your Android mobile. So I've put out a few teasers on this on Twitter and a lot of you guys seemed interested in it. So I've got a phone here just to kind of show you what it looks like. So this is a Samsung S6, it's running on Android. And what we've done is we've rooted the phone, we've installed Linux and we've also installed some mining software. So it's currently mining Verium. So the cool thing about these phones is that they've got powerful little CPUs in there, but they're also really energy efficient. So what that means is that you can do a lot of your mining work, and these cost roughly around just about a penny or less per day. So you've got really great efficiency, powerful little CPUs, and that's the primary reasons to mine on these devices. So in this video, I'll show you all the steps that you need to do to get started mining. So there's kind of three primary main sections. First one will be rooting your device. The second part will be installing Linux. And the third part will be installing the mining software itself. So I'm going to break down the whole process for you. It sounds quite long-winded and there's quite a few steps, but I'll go through and I'll make the whole process nice and easy for you. Okay, so a quick message first from our sponsor, a company that I really like and I actually use. And then we'll continue on with the tutorial. Bulb is one of the fastest growing energy providers in the UK. I switched to Bulb when my previous supplier jacked up their prices. Bulb uses 100% renewable electricity and they are one of the cheapest providers in the UK. So if you like what Bulb is offering, use my link in the video's description. You'll get £50 credit when you sign up and I'll also get some credit on my account too. So use the link in the video description to get started with Bulb. Okay, so let's get started. So I've got a Samsung S6 phone here. It's an Android phone. I believe it's running on Android version 7. So just before we get started, we are going to be rooting this phone. So that is a process where we're going to be installing some third-party software onto the phone. There is risks involved. It's possible that you could flash the phone wrong and basically completely destroy your phone effectively. So I would recommend not doing this with your primary phone. Just do it with a spare phone that you have, or borrow your girlfriend's phone or something like that. So you shouldn't have any problems with it, but there is that slight risk that something could go wrong and you would wreck your phone. So bear that in mind before you get started. So let's continue on. The first thing we are going to do is we've already connected to our Wi-Fi and our Play Store. So this was like a new phone installation. So there was nothing on there. So just the Wi-Fi and our Google Play account. So we're going to download two apps. One is called Linux Deploy. So this one just at the top should be your primary result. So we're just going to install that. And we're also going to download another app, which is called ConnectBot. The icon looks like that, so we're going to download that as well. So there are your two apps that you're going to be using. So in preparation for the rooting process, what you want to do is you want to go to your phone settings. And if you go all the way down to the bottom and then go to About Device, and then Software Info, and then you'll see this build number. I'm about halfway down. If you keep pressing it, I think it's 7 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It says developer mode has been enabled. Then if you go back a step, back one more, you've got this developer options that now appears at the bottom. Select that. And the only option that we want to do here is actually two. I'm going to turn off the auto updates. And I'm going to enable USB debugging. Just confirm that. And they're all the options that you need to do. So now the phone is just about ready. So the next part that we want to do is we just want to power off the phone. So we just hold the power button on the right hand side and we're going to power it off. So just give that a few seconds to make sure it's entirely shut down. And then the next part, depending on what the manufacturer of your phone is, the startup might be slightly different. But in this case, for the Samsung phones, we're going to hold down the bottom or the lower volume button the home button, and then we're going to power it up using the power button. So it's a little bit fiddly to do, but once you've done it a few times. So lower volume, home button, and power button. Hold all three of those together, and you'll get a message that pops up like this. And it says, warning, a custom OS can cause critical problems. So this is part of the routing process. If you want to continue, press up volume, or cancel, press down volume. So we want to continue, we want to press the up volume. So I'm going to press this one up here, and then it leaves your phone looking like this. So at this point, we are now going to plug the phone into the USB port on our computer, and we're going to install the software using our PC. Okay, so one quick step, just before you plug in your phone, download this Samsung USB driver application, download that program, run it, install it, and then you can plug in your phone. Okay, so we've got the phone in the bootloader mode and we've plugged it into our computer. So the next part is we're going to use some software called Odin, and that's going to install our special software onto the device. So let's start up. So the Odin software version that I'm using is 3.10.6. I did try other versions, but I kind of got into problems with those. They didn't seem to kind of complete the operation, but this one did work well. So maybe use the same version or perhaps newer. So we start up the Odin program. And the program will look a little something like this. So there's kind of these four options for different software installs, but the one that we're going to be using is this AP one. And the software, originally it was all kind of in one package, but now they kind of break it down into 4 different packages. So depending on your phone version, you might find like a one for all or separate like 4 different packages. And the one I'm using is like a one for all package, so that's the one that we need for the phone. So we click on this AP button, and it just opens up like a browser for your computer. And then you'll see this file that I've got here. So it's cf auto root, and then the most important part itself is the model number of your phone. So in this case, like I say, it's a Samsung S6 Edge. That's also important as well. So the model number is SMG925F. So make sure you get the correct software for your phone. If you flash it with something wrong, you'll ruin your phone. So I'll put links in the description of a little bit more detailed on using the software and also where to get your software from. I'll put those in the video description. So we select open. It just does some checks to verify the quality of make sure it's not corrupted or anything like that. And then it's basically ready. So I'll just set my phone kind of ready just to show you what happens on the device itself. So we've already selected the file, and now we want to select start. We'll see some details on the left hand side, and what will happen is at the same time your phone will go through like a couple of reset processes, and I can show you that as well. And you'll see this like little red Android character and a lot of code on the screen. So this will take a couple of minutes to complete, but eventually the phone will completely restart, and then it will restart in a normal fashion. So it will return to like your normal Android kind of menu with your icons, etc. Okay, so that process has completed, and the phone is kind of like restored to like a normal kind of condition. Except now we have super user access. So what that means is that we can do things that we could not do before. Okay, so we've completed the process on the computer, and the process has been installed. So we can unlock the phone and use it just like it normally would. The only advantage is now we have super user access, so we can do extra things that we couldn't do before. So if you scroll through your icons or your apps, and you'll see the 2 ones that we downloaded and installed. So we're going to start the Linux deploy app. And when it first starts up, it looks like this. So there's kind of 3 parts to this. There is the installation, configuration, and then starting the actual application itself. So in the bottom right hand corner, we've got this little configuration option. Sorry, this is for the installation. So you've got all these different options, but you will leave it as default for most of the options. So we're installing Debian, and the architecture is ARM HF, and the distribution is Stretch. So they're kind of the important parts. Installation type is file. So pretty much we're just leaving everything as it is, except for just a couple of pieces. So username, change this username, change it to root. It'll make it easier for you when you're installing. And the password, for simplicity in this case, I'm just going to choose a very, very simple password. You should choose something obviously more complicated. And then scrolling further down as well, SSH enable, we want to enable that. And I believe that is it for those options. So the username, password and SSH is kind of probably the most options that you'll need to change. Everything else you want it as you can see it here. So then we press the back option. On the main screen, now if we click these three little dots, we want to install. It says start the installation of this, so we go to OK. So this is where it asks you for that super user request, so we're going to grant it. So if your phone was not rooted, you would not be able to get past that process. So now it's going to go through the installation process of installing Linux on your phone. It takes quite a while to do, probably about 10 to 15 minutes to get it installed, something like that. So I'm just going to leave that running, and once it's completed, then we'll go on to the next step. Okay, our installation has finished. So you can tell it's finished at the very bottom of the all the code that you can see there. It says deploy, so that's what you're looking for. So the next option is just a little bit more configuration. Go to settings, lock Wi-Fi, wake lock, and I think that is it. There's also the option to auto start the container with Android. I've left that off, so basically you have to manually start the Linux deploy app. And I believe that is it. So if you go back to the main option, and now if we want to use the configure option, so the three little dots again, and then configure, press OK. It'll go through some coding, take a couple of minutes to complete, but then we'll be ready to start afterwards. Okay, so that's already completed. So now we're ready to start our Linux container. So we press start, mount the container and start services, so we want to go OK. And that's it. So our Linux installation is running from this point onwards. So in order to access or interact with this, we need to start a secure shell. So there's two ways that we can do it. We can use the ConnectBot secure shell, which is all done on the phone, and we can also connect via the PC. So first of all, I'll just show you how to get started with ConnectBot, but I'll be showing you the main kind of coding on the PC just because it's easier and simpler. So you can follow along either using ConnectBot or you can do it on the PC, which is a little bit easier in terms of copying and pasting, etc. So with that running, we can just kind of close that. And then if we want to go to ConnectBot, so it says no hosts created yet. So let me just unplug this, give me a little bit more room. So you press the plus symbol, and then we're going to type root at, and then the IP address. So this will be one of your local IP addresses, 168.0.58. So that was the IP address that was at the top of the Linux deploy. So then if we go to next, everything else, I don't think we need to change any other options. So then we click on the plus. So then we've got this option to kind of log in. So we press on this, confirm we want to start connecting. So it goes through and it tries to log in as root using that IP address. So our password in this case, like I say, just for demo, was pass. So now we're at the command line of this Linux install. So from this point you could then carry on with the miner installation, which is what I'm going to show you now, but I'm going to show you on the computer, like I say, just because it's easier in terms of the typing. But if you want, you can manually follow through and just type it using this keyboard down obviously below the screen. Just to let you know as well, there's some special functions if you need any of those. For example, if you need to kind of close the secure shell, if you press on the screen, you can kind of minimize the keyboard to see it, which is kind of useful. Press that back up again, and press on the screen as well. If you wanted to use like command and control to obviously quit the program, you can do that also. So that's just some extra functions in there. So I'm going to go onto the computer now and we'll get the installation started for our miner. Okay, so we're back on the Windows PC, and like I say, we're going to be using the same process. Just it's easier to use the shell on the PC to work with the phone rather than just typing away on the phone itself. So the program that we're going to be using is called putty. So we just start that up, and it asks for our IP address. So as before, it's root at 192.168.0.58. Of course, just use the IP address that's assigned to you on the device itself, on the phone. And then we want to go to open. So just a warning there, which just confirm yes. Okay, so it takes a couple of seconds, and then it asks us for our password. Just enter the password and press enter. So now we're at the main command line, so now we can issue all the commands that we want. So I've got a text file here, and this is kind of all the commands that you need to use. Just basically one after the other. I'll put all the details in the description. So we just literally start. So we're going to copy, and we in putty, to paste, you just right click, you use the right minus button. Don't use Control and V or Control and C because you'll mess it up. So copy from the text file, and then just right click to paste it, and then press enter. So that's the first part, and then the second part. Someone did show me how to do this all in one line, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But it's also easier for you to understand as well if you go kind of step by step. So each line, just copy and paste in and press enter. So in this one, we've got a confirmation that just says yes to, or Y to confirm, so Y and enter. Okay, that line has now completed, so obviously back to the command line, so we can continue with the next line. So it's quite a long one, so make sure you copy the whole line, and we're going to paste that and enter. Again, Y to confirm. Okay, that part is now completed. Actually, we'll just continue on in order. So now we'll get the miner program itself. So just copy and paste. So it's going to clone into the GitHub repo and download the miner. So it's the fireworm veriumMiner, and it downloads all of that. That's completed. So now we can go into the veriumMiner folder or directory. So it's cd veriumMiner with a capital M. And now this next part here, so I've just completed that line. So this next part, you only need it for the Debian installs. If you're using Ubuntu, you don't need this line. So I'm just going to paste that line in there. So essentially it's downloading the make program. Like I say, with Ubuntu you don't need that. So the next line is to build. So we are going to copy and paste, and we're going to, what this is going to do is build the miner itself. You might get one or two errors similar to what I've got there, like you can't open up the M4 directory. Don't worry too much, it should work fine. Okay, so the build has now completed. So from this point we should be able to run our miner. So to run the miner, we've got a command line here. So it's the CPU miner, the pool that we're mining on, our username, worker name, password, which is always X for the pool, and the number of threads on the end, which is 4 threads. So I'm going to copy that whole line, and I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to press enter, and our miner should start working. Oh, I know what the problem is. So I'm just going to Control and C to stop that, just for a second. The problem is that I don't actually have a worker called S6 Mobile 2. I've only got S6 Mobile 1. So let me just change this to a name that I've actually got. Yeah, you need a valid worker name, so make sure you create a worker name at the pool. So I use it this time, it should be fine. So I'm just going to paste it this time with a valid worker name and enter. Okay, so we've got our first hash results. It's a little bit higher. These phones normally average about 230 hashes per second in my case. So now what I'll show you is the kind of the running the miner process directly on the phone itself. So it sounds a bit odd, but using this secure shell, it is actually running on the phone. It's not running on the computer. It's just kind of effectively logging into the phone. But what I'll show you is how to kind of use the shell on the phone as well via the ConnectBot app. So we can just close this putty window. We don't need to use that anymore. We'll just in the program first. So Control and C, and then we'll just close that. And now I'll show you the process on the phone. So it's quite cool to be on the phone itself. Okay, so we've just finished up on the computer, but everything that I showed you using the putty secure shell, you can do the same thing in ConnectBot. It just takes you a little bit longer. But in this case, I'm going to show you just how to start the miner, and it's just so you can sort of view it on the phone. It makes it look quite cool. So we've got the app ConnectBot, so we should start that. And we've already got it set in our options, so we can kind of like relog back in quite easy. So if you've not already done this, you just add a new profile, and it's root at whatever the IP address is of your phone, which is what you would have seen in the Linux deploy. So start that. It will ask us for our password. And then it starts off at the command line, so you can see up there, that's basically ready, waiting for our command. So if you press the screen, because I've already done this on the PC with the shell, we can kind of like tab through or switch through in the recent commands. So we want to first go into the folder or the directory for the veriumMiner. So it's cd veriumMiner, so now we're inside there. And now if you press up again, so now we've got the command line, so it's kind of like just easier. Save, typing all this in on the keyboard, it'd be quite a lot to type in. So you can just use those up and down arrows to switch through your most recent commands. So we select the one that we want, so it's going to start the CPU miner on riskyfire.worker1 and 4 threads, and then we press enter. And as it did with the shell on the PC, you can see that the miner starts up. If we just press on the main kind of display, and then we can kind of like minimize the keyboard. Okay, so the miner has been running for about a minute, and our first kind of hash rates are coming through now. So it says 29442. On the previous phones that I've tested, they run roughly around about 230 hashes. So that's it, that's the miner running. If you want to close the miner, you can stop it and disconnect. So if you press Control, so let's just open up my keyboard. So you press on the screen, press Control and C, and that will stop the miner. You can close the ConnectBot, you can just go to disconnect. So at this point, your kind of phone is running back to normal. The only difference is the Linux deploy, the Linux installation is still running. So what you can also do is you can stop it and start it. But obviously if you're just using it as a miner, you can just leave it running in the background there. Okay, so this is the phone that we've just completed working on. So now I have 3 phones mining away. So roughly they're using about 3 pence per day mining. I know you guys are going to ask about the profitability. I will say that profitability is slightly higher than the electricity uses. That's mining Verium, but I think we're going to probably get much better results mining other things, perhaps Monero, Nexus. There's lots of other coins that we can mine, so I'm going to be showing you more on those in the future. So the phones themselves, they cost roughly about £35 with broken screens, and so I think they're good for like a little side project. One other thing I'd also like to know, I didn't say previously, but roughly I'm getting about 230 hashes from these phones. But let me know what hash rate you're getting from your phones. Please let me know your make and model and what the hash rate is that you're getting, just kind of as a comparative basis, just so we can see who's getting what from what phone, who's getting the best or worst performance, and it'd be great to share those details with you guys. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did like it, give it a like. If you like this type of content and want to see more, then make sure you're a subscriber to the channel. If you really liked it and don't want to miss anything at all, make sure you subscribe and also hit the bell icon. That way you'll get notifications and you won't miss any of my upcoming videos. Any questions or comments, anything you need help with or you get stuck, let me know in the comments area down below, and I'll be sure to respond to you guys. Okay, thanks very much for watching once again, and I'll see you guys on the next video.